Welcome to the Real Mike Duley podcast. I'm Mike Duley, nationally recognized broker, bringing you real conversations, real strategies, and real insights into today's real estate market. We're here. Hey, welcome, the Real Mike Duley Show. We're back at it with the one and only Mick Broach. He has been, we just had our team meeting earlier today, his 10-year anniversary in the real estate industry. Can you believe that, Mick?
No, I can't.
I remember a fun story. You know, we're at Starbucks. We first met. You brought your son.
Yep.
This is what I think I love about real estate and entrepreneurship and business. It wasn't friend texting another friend, hey, you thinking about getting real estate going, get a team going, can we have coffee? And we did. And it was, you brought your son. He was there reading a book. I remember sitting at the table, and it is God family business. We don't overthink it. We always say we're not saving lives.
Right.
Which is really fun. I know today's episode, we're going to be talking about communication, mindset, and the discipline of consistency. Say that 3 times fast.
Yes.
You want to tell the audience a little bit about yourself? I know 97 kids is not right, but there's a lot of them, isn't there? So tell us about your gang, your Brady Bunch, and all the people you have with yourself.
Absolutely. Well, I've been married to my wife, Shay. 2027, we will have been married 30 years.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, we have 5 kids. The youngest is 17, the oldest is 26. And we're from Texas originally, I guess you could say. I'm from Dallas, even though I was born in West Texas, but I lived in Dallas longer than I lived anywhere else. Had a long career in the advertising industry, and that all changed in 2016 as I jumped headfirst into real estate when I turned 50 years old. And it was one of the scariest and most exhilarating decisions I ever made. So.
Yeah, you think about it. I don't know about you, but Cody said, wait a minute, you're going to be Phil Dunphy? You're going to have this, your headshot on the side of the car and do this. It is really over our 10 years. We were just talking about on the way here. There's so many things you can do at real estate.
Oh.
I know you're exploring through your journey, being a coach. You just have so many things, you're a mentor for one of the largest teams in Arkansas, which is really fun, and a broker for that. You've added broker license. You've added all those things. 3 investment properties. Whatever, never thought. I remember when we were talking through and collaborating on your first investment property.
Oh, yeah. I had no idea how to do something like that. And then we started talking. He's like, what? I can do that?
Well, mindset, as you know, no one teaches you. I know you're an only child. Your parents did not say, hey, you can be independently wealthy. You own investment properties, another house, and for nothing down, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you had to, 10 years, and I know we get into it though, but you're on your health journey, which is pretty cool.
Right.
And one of the things we're talking about is real estate and Keller Williams and businesses. Your mindset, how it makes you think differently, isn't it? We're talking about over here just how awesome people are.
Yes. This company is, it's really like no other. Definitely so different than the corporate world. And it seems like I'm surrounded by cheerleaders all the time. And it's not fake cheerleading. It is people that really want to see me succeed, that have my best interest at heart. And I mean, it's just, there's no culture like KW culture. That's what I tell everybody.
And obviously a lot of our listeners are listening from all different brokerages or companies. I'd even, zoom out a little bit. We have that for Keller Williams. I feel like just the real estate industry, we have friends, and we were talking about it earlier. You were at an event most recently that were, 10 different brokerages. And you're like, oh, I love that person. I love that person.
Yeah.
Jared Smith, name people that are just great people, and I think some of it is that entrepreneurship.
Oh, 100%.
You can lead on it for each other,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember we had transactions where maybe it was like you would be distraught or upset and wear the emotions on your shirt. But today, obviously, think about mindset.
Yeah.
It's business, you still want to have compassion.
Sure.
But that's some of that happened. You want to maybe talk about, I think your anniversary popped up for your first deal.
Yeah.
I don't first listing.
I don't remember exactly what the date was. It was in July. But one thing that I've learned in real estate is that you just jump into it and you figure it out as you go along, because I got very overwhelmed at the beginning, because it is a lot of information that just comes at you from so many different angles. But I realized quickly that I didn't have to do it all alone. That's the beauty about being on a team. A successful team is that you have people to bounce ideas off of. and to ask questions. And Keller Williams is like that in general. Even if I was a solo agent at Keller Williams, there would always be someone that I could go to. It's like, how do I do this? What is this? And Keller Williams offers so many training seminars and events that help you learn and help you grow and be a better person. So over the years, it has just gotten, I don't know that I would say it's gotten easier necessarily, because real estate, no two deals are ever alike. You're always going to face some kind of challenge, but it's all in how you face that challenge. That's probably the biggest thing that I learned over the years. Is it's more about just what comes at you and how you deal with it in the moment.
For sure. It's very easy to get into it with another co-broke, another agent, appraiser. Go through the list of the 19 people that are accomplishing a real estate transaction.
Right.
Emotions can be very high.
Very high.
Buyer and seller obviously are uprooting or changing their life on how packing and moving from somewhere, all the emotions. So I love what you said. It's about just unpacking those and understanding them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
tell us maybe, about a fun transaction you've had over the 10 years that you're like, oh, that was so cool. I know you've done a lot of luxury ones. We had one in Fayetteville. I know you've had Park Place, I think, and Beaver Lake. Mick talks about it a lot of how many transactions we do, about 3,200 a year.
Yeah.
I can remember sometimes Rain Man, but I don't know so much information.
Yeah.
I hit 50. It's like it's all coming in, keeping it all straight sometimes.
I can relate to that.
Yep.
Probably one of the more fun transactions was a very recent transaction I had with some buyers who moved here from it wasn't Illinois. It was it was Missouri, I guess, almost in Illinois. But the husband is going to be working at the new Walton School that they're building at the corner of 8th and 49, and the medical. And I don't know the official name of it, but it's like a medical facility. He's like kind of overseeing the architecture and the building of it. And they were referred to me by a former client. And when I started talking to these people, he said, now we're going to be talking to other agents. He said, so I'm going to ask you some really tough questions. It was probably the hardest hardest set of buyers that I've ever had to win the deal. But I worked so hard for them, and they turned out to be just some of the coolest people that I've ever had the pleasure of working with, and we have since become friends. And he reaches out to me all the time. What about this? What about this? And I love it. And and one of the reasons that I enjoyed it so much is they were just so appreciative of everything that I did for them, and that made me feel good. I poured into them, and but I'm the one that ended up getting the blessing out of it. So that's probably the most recent one.
Great perspective.
So, yeah.
And I know sometimes me, you, Cody, Kayla, some of our other close friends will send memes or different things to each other.
Yes.
Where Cody's like, this is the only job that you do all this work and you actually might not get paid.
That's true. That's true.
But I love what you said. It's a blessing. And how many times, I never realized this in real estate, that you might do a transaction or you might even help someone get into real estate or a business that become friends and family. And then now they're in your life or in.
Right.
So many people that I was like, we're helping them accomplish, a goal, but then now they become family and friends.
Yeah.
At your kid's wedding, whatever it is. It's really, really cool. It's crazy,
Yeah.
Some communication was part of this theme or process, It's
Sure.
like one thing that I love about you and I want to communicate to other people, if they're brand new in the business, or we're always, and you do a great job of striving this to be really great at communication. And you challenge the team and the leadership too, is like how important that is to communicate. And what are you learning from that all the time, or what are you looking at, different tools? Like, for instance, I know one of the things is you have reach as a text. Maybe give us your tech stack, or like 4 or 5 things that you use as far as communication.
Sure.
That our listeners would go, if they're either new or been in the business, oh, I never thought about that.
Right. Well, reach is definitely something that I take advantage of, and it's, you've taught me a lot about leverage, and that's exactly what reach is. It's basically I can send a group text to individuals is basically how it works, but it is such a time saver. I have put together a list of if I'm sending it to agents or past clients, but I have a list that I can tap into. I can create a format for a message that I want to send to them, and basically their numbers are already entered, and I just hit send.
That's awesome.
And it's such a time saver, And
they're in, it says their name, and it looks
yeah,
like it's only an
and it
individual
comes
one-to-one communication.
right, and it comes from my number, so they know it's me.
Mhm.
So that's been a time saver. Another thing, I mean, without being sounding redundant, I mean, it's AI has been a game changer. You know, it was a little hard for me to embrace it at first because my background is in copywriting. I used to work in advertising agencies in the Dallas area for years, and I kind of
We won't say with Barney area.
yeah, and that's well, I did work for Barney as well way back in the day, but I really kind of wore that like a badge. Like I'm a writer, and I was very proud of the fact that I was in advertising. But what I've learned is that um, nobody gets communication right all the time, and you mentioned about striving to be better. We're always striving to be better at it. AI is just a tool. It does not replace the individual perspective on something. It's just something that I can lean into to crank something out quickly. And, you know, I just dictate it into my phone and then it cranks it out. But then I put my own spin on it to make it sound more like me. And that has been a game changer as well.
We've always joked over the 10 years whenever we're going to send an important email to Gary Keller or somebody, I'm like, hey, Matt, can you look over this? Now GPT is taking over that, but it's fun. We found other areas to hang out and do cool things
That's
that I
right.
want to go into. If you think about this business, you could work 24/7.
Oh,
You really could. You'll want the young people listening or other people to listen is how do you take your mind off of that? One of the things you've done is workout.
mhm.
You want to talk a little bit about what got you into that?
Sure.
The journey. You did a show in
Mhm.
Philadelphia, if I remember correctly.
Pittsburgh, no, Pittsburgh, Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
That was it.
So just share with everyone maybe about your journey and, you know, taking your mind off
Sure.
the emotions and being a dad and all the
Yeah.
life stuff. And that's, you know, you've really driven into that. And I think been an inspiration to many people. I have people all the time. They're like, yeah, that guy that works out all the time. Because they know we've been
Yeah.
together and work-wise for 10 years, which is really cool. You're inspiring more people. You know, you just turned 60.
Yeah.
And you have many times like, oh, you're 60, which is awesome. That's got to be a great feeling.
Oh,
You know,
it's a wonderful feeling.
we're not our parents
No.
or our grandparents or our great-grandparents' 60s, you know?
Right. Well, it's something that has, I guess, kind of always been in the back of my mind. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I'm like a lot of guys. You see guys at the beach, you're like, man, I wish I looked like that guy, you know. But the older that I got, I realized that, man, I really want to be in good shape for my family moving forward. I want to, you know, there's a high likelihood in the next 3 or 4 years I'll have a grandchild. And I want to be able to get down on the floor and roll around, play with that grandchild. And I don't know. It's just something that, like, it was kind of a wake-up call. So I thought one of my goals several years ago was to get in the best shape of my life. That's a very broad goal. But I found an amazing coach. His name's Anthony Deal. He's on Instagram. And Anthony was America's Strongest Man in 2020. And I reached out to him and said, hey, I'd like to talk to you about coaching. And we just hit it off. We became great friends. And he has been coaching me now for about 2.5 years, I guess. And I did my first bodybuilding competition almost exactly a year ago. And it has been an incredible journey. It's everything I thought it would be and nothing like what I thought it would be. And probably the hardest part of it all is the diet and learning how to retrain your mindset to think about food differently. And that has been a game changer for me. I don't get it right all the time, but like we say in real estate and like guys say at the gym, 1% better every day. That's what you focus on. I have become very disciplined in terms of meal prepping my food. And again, I had tacos for lunch today, right? There's certain times that it just doesn't work out timing wise, but for the most part, I eat very clean, and that coupled with a very strict workout regimen, which my coach put together for me and oversaw, and the balance of working out versus the amount of proteins and carbs, and it's all numbers. It's like a lot of things in life. It's all numbers. and just figuring out what that mix is. And I remember when I first started doing it, I was actually putting on weight. And he told me, he said, "You're going to put on weight." Well, I did. And I didn't like that because I didn't want a big belly. I wanted, I was like a lot of guys, I want to take my shirt off at the beach and look great. But what I didn't realize is that he was teaching me how to build muscle. And I built that muscle. And then he took me on a cut. I don't remember how long it was before I did my show. But basically, I dropped about 40 pounds. And I got super lean. I had abs for the first time in my life. I flew out to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, did my first bodybuilding show about a year ago. I placed. I wasn't very high, but I placed. I came away with a little medal, and that's not what it's all about. What it's all about is what it did to me on the inside, and which it starts on the inside, and then it manifests itself on the outside. So, but I feel better than I felt in years. I haven't been sick in a very, very long time. And I love it. There's something about being in the gym every morning, focusing on throwing those weights around. I can't think about real estate. I can't think about anything that's worrying me. I can only focus on that. And it is truly, it's like therapy in a lot of ways too. And, when you can only focus on that, that's not a bad thing. So,
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations. You think about it, so many things in business and in life, though, from that. A coach, what I heard loud and clear, a mindset. You can't, what do they say? You can't be grateful and hateful at the same time, So you talk about that too, and it's all about your mindset. I heard Tim Ferriss actually yesterday. I was listening to his podcast, and I think sometimes we go, "Oh, I'll do that in 2 days. I can only work out for an hour." And what I heard him say is like, hey, even if you did 20 push-ups, it's about progress every day. I love that you said that. It's about just getting in the gym. And we talk about that in real estate and business. Me and you have talked about that for 10 years. Just show up, business falls out of the office.
Show up. Yes. Showing up is half the battle. And, KW culture, I might have mentioned this before, it's very similar to gym culture in that you're surrounded by a bunch of people. I think there's a misperception that people in the gym are judging you or laughing at you behind your back, and I've not found that to be true. The guys that I work out with, it's a community, and we support each other. And when I do a deadlift and I hit a PR, I mean, there's a guys going, "Man, way to go! You did it! That feels so good." The same thing in real estate when you get to the end of a really hard transaction and your team is surrounds you, and they're just like, "Oh man, I know you're glad to get that over with." It's like, yeah, we did it. We got to the closing table. It's a lot of similarities there.
For sure. Well, you talk about consistency. That's what I heard too, loud and clear. And I think that's the same with business is that right now we were talking about on the way over here in real estate. That's been a little bit softer nationally, even here locally. And we really haven't felt this kind of market. A lot of people haven't. This first year is leaning more toward a buyer's market, if you will. And it's a little bit different. It feels differently. But if you're putting in the reps, and that's what I heard you loud and clear talking about, the consistency, is really, really important.
That is true. Consistency, but also looking for opportunities to maybe tweak so you can do something a little bit better. Just for instance, I've been struggling with some pain in my elbow, and I talked to my coach about it, and we tweaked some of my exercises so it doesn't put strain on it. The same thing is true in business. It's like you can't just do the same thing and expect different results all the time. The market is different. It has shifted. So you have to think of it different. Like, how can I adjust here? And it doesn't have to be like a big major adjustment. It can be something very small and very subtle, but we do have to think differently.
Tim Ferriss, he said this yesterday. I just listened to it, so it's fresh. He said, our bodies were made as humans to walk a lot. And he said, I mean, walk a lot. And it's about 2 hours. And I was like, oof.
Yeah.
I've been, rucking for an hour, and it's just funny. Your brain, when you're out there, or out in nature and out in the sun, he talks about how our bodies need to do that, which is really, really important.
Agreed.
So I wanted to go to something too, and it was like we were kind of talking about where it all connects, but a lot of it is fun. And I think that's something else. Did you ever think as far as career and life, you could have fun? And one thing anyone that's listening that's not in real estate or thinking about getting in real estate is all these things just bleed together now. It's not like you got in your car and it's like 8:05, I'm in my chair, and it's like 5:01, I'm leaving. It's like, no, it's like you might end up in, which is one of your investment properties, the beach house. You might actually go to the cabins. You might take your daughter touring in California.
Yeah.
It all just meshes together. We're just living life. I don't know about you. I'd love your perspective on it. I love it. We were just in Minneapolis from Thursday through Friday this past week. Cody and I are both driving with our kids and our family on Thursday in the van. Well, it's like we're still working. We had calls. But
Yeah.
it's like you're living life.
Right.
And I think we're just made as humans to do that, not to be the separation where it's like, I'm going to go straight to my office, sit in my chair, look at a TV screen for, 8 hours,
Yeah.
is I know that fits your jam back to fun, but I want the audience and the listeners to know like, hey, you have to balance all that because you have to be a self-starter and have your own discipline.
Sure. Well, I think growing up, what was modeled for me and a lot of people in my generation is that you go into an office and you do your thing, and then you come home and then you can have fun.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, it's like, why can't it all just blend together? I think about also, like faith is very important to me. And I remember one of my pastor friends in the past, and he always talked about how it's blending your everyday life with your faith. He called it lifestyle Christianity. And that is so true. It's like there doesn't need to be any separation there. Because really what you do during the day is what you make of it and what you choose to make of it. And if you go in with the attitude, it's like, well, I can't have fun now. I'm just going to go in and do my thing. My parents, they were children of Depression era parents, and they were wonderful parents. But my dad, he said to me one time, he's like, I don't really know how to encourage you. I just make him a good hand. Mm-hmm. That was as far as it went. Just work for the man. Mm-hmm. And I finally got to the point where I realized, well, I can be the man.
Right.
I don't have to work for the man. Yeah. I can be the man.
I love that.
So
that's great.
Yeah, it just changes the way you look at everything. And I don't mind being busy. Even my wife, she understands. I don't mind being busy with real estate because that's what fuels what I get to do every day. A lot of people say, oh, you're on all the time. It's like, yeah, but I've learned to balance it too. And the way that I've learned to balance it is through mindset. Mm-hmm. It's if I choose to look at it as, oh, and I've done that before, especially getting into real estate. Oh, man, I don't want to write this offer right now. I want to watch this TV show, or I want to, go do this. And I'm like, no, wait a minute. This gives me the opportunity to do the things I want to do. So, yeah, I'm going to do this.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
I love that you said there. I remember, too, when I was in corporate America, I had someone say I couldn't be a good leader or boss for being nice. And I love what you said about Christianity. I actually saw this TikTok yesterday or today, might have been yesterday, where the pastor was explaining, and he had the birthday cake, and he had those candles, you blow out and they reignite all the time. He said, just be the light where you are. Mm. And I just think whenever someone talks about you in real estate, it's such a blessing to be, in good communication and good contact.
Yeah.
So it's be a good human. And I think that's one thing that we think about in business. Anyone listening would say, there's not their side and our side. It's helping clients in general. So
absolutely,
how much easier is it to do a transaction or real estate or life or business? We're all on one team.
Well, same thing with, when you're working with another agent on the other side, I think the stereotype of real estate is that you've got a couple of agents and they're both sharks and they're only looking out for themselves. That is not true. I mean, those people they do exist, but it's a very small
and they don't last.
Minority, and they don't last. That's right. It's not that way of thinking is not sustainable for the long time. And that was one thing that really changed my perspective when I got into real estate, is that I didn't want to be known as a salesperson. And somebody told me, it's like, well, you're not, you're helping people. And that changed everything. That changed the way that I looked at everything. It's like, oh, I can wrap my head around that. So that's the way I look at it. I'm a connector. I'm a confidant. I'm an advocate. I'm a fiduciary. I mean, I'm a lot of things. Mm-hmm. I help people accomplish their goals. And I just happen to wear the badge of a realtor to do it.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
I had on here being a listener. I think while you have a strength is you're a really good listener.
Thank you.
So if anybody's thinking about getting into real estate or entrepreneurship, was that come naturally, a little bit of training, or obviously having 5 kids and 30 years, you better do something awesome, no pressure. Sure. You're coming up on it. I heard, not to interrupt real fast, Tim Ferriss said this, sometimes you want to take a mini retirement. Mm-hmm. So for your the 30th, you might want to think about that. And what he says there too, which I really like, is that life can be, you need a vacation or burnout, but leave for a month.
Yeah.
What would that look like in your life too? And I think real estate, well, before how crazy it would have been to your boss. You're like, you know what? I'm burnt out. I got life going off. I'm gonna take August off.
Be like, no, you're not.
How great would it be is, for your 30 year, we could figure it out together because you're part of a team and organization. It's like, hey, I need showings here. I have this listing. We lean in together as a family.
Right. No, that's good. That is something that I think I have struggled with is I get in the zone like a lot of us, and I do enjoy what I do, but I could just stay in the zone, and sometimes I have to stop and just do some self-talk and like, hey, wait a minute, why are you doing this? Who are you doing this for? And step back and invest in your family, invest in the people that are right in front of you, because that's who we usually take for granted the most is the people that are right in front of us. So I especially as I get older, I'm thinking of things like that more and more. You asked about being a listener. I hope people feel that I'm a good listener, and I want to be. Something that I really have worked on over the years is to be a better listener. But also people just want to be heard. They want to have a voice, and there's so much noise out there nowadays. So if you can listen and empathize and make someone feel like they matter and that you care and that you understand their perspective, even if you don't necessarily agree with it, but that you understand it and that you can help them get to where they want to go. That's a very rewarding thing for me personally, but also just to see what it does to that person. That is truly what helping someone is like, is really pouring into them and affirming them and who they are as a human.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
We're going to add one layer to today. We're going to talk about relationships. I know me and you, we're talking about that. I want to first thank our sponsor, Mutual Omaha Mortgage. Thank you for being our sponsor. And back to relationships. I didn't realize this when we were doing real estate and doing business. There's about 19 different organizations or companies helping you get to the end of the finish line.
Right.
A lot of times, good or bad, you just see the real estate agent or the realtor professional. But really, you have so many people, from mortgages to home inspector to title. You go through the list. But relationships are so key, and that's why I think you've been successful. But I want to talk about that. It takes time, doesn't it? It's work actually to have relationships. I think I heard Tim Ferriss, back to that. He resonated with me yesterday. That's actually one of the first times I've listened to a show. I usually listen to My First Million. I got a couple, 4 or 5 of them, and I had already gone through all the shows. So I basically just grabbed Apple iTunes and said top pick, and boom, he came up. I've heard him on shows and read his book and stuff.
Yeah.
But he talked about it's weird sometimes to have a male relationship, and you'll like this too. He said when people go to a campfire, as males, you can kind of look at the fire and you're not looking at the other direction of the face. But females have a tendency to do that, But I think one of your strengths is relationships. So if anyone's newer listening, or maybe they're stuck, or maybe not getting the real estate where they want, you've been able to build really good relationships, and that's fed you and fed you and fed you, and you've been able to help people. I love that you said that. You're not a salesperson. Is there anything, if someone's listening, how are you, intentional in that? I know coffee meetings, lunch meetings, what does that kind of look like for you?
Well, I've always said that you can't have too many friends, and it is very easy to spread yourself thin and try to be everything to everybody, and that's not what I'm trying to do. But I do love to invest into people and to pour into people, and I kind of do it to the point. I'm going to be very transparent. Sometimes I don't feel like things are reciprocated, and I don't feel like I want to be poured into as well. Even though I get a lot of satisfaction of pouring into people, that fills my cup. But when someone reaches out to me, hey, you want to go grab lunch? I'm like, yes, yes. That means the world to me. And, but you know what? That's okay, because I have also come to realize that that's part of just what's in my DNA. I think that's the way that God created me, is to see something in someone and pursue that person and make them feel like they are seen and heard and special, and that makes me feel seen and heard and special, because I mean, you know how it is when you go to lunch with someone and you're chatting about life and you feel like you're really connecting, And you know, it's very mutual. Like today, for instance, I'm having coffee with the only the only people. I'm having coffee with the husband, but it was a husband and wife, and they're the only people that I've worked with in the past that are not really clients. I've showed them a lot of homes, and they had a situation where they had to purchase a home from, it was a family member or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it didn't work out. But I showed them a bunch of homes. We became good friends in the process. They're going through a really tough time. The wife is having some health problems, and I'm going to meet with the husband today. I just hadn't seen him in a while. I said, hey, I'd love to catch up. I love that. I love that.
Awesome.
And I'm really looking forward to seeing him. So just, you know, you mentioned the word intentional. It is being intentional. You know, how many times do we say to people, oh, we need to get together? Yeah, let's get together sometime. And then no one does anything. Well, I'm the guy that like, okay, yeah, let's do it. What time? And sometimes I'll put it on that person. If you know, we try to get together sometimes and it just doesn't work out. So, well, why don't you take this and run with it? Here's some dates that I'm available. Let me know what you can do. But a lot of times I will organize that, and I don't know. It just kind of comes naturally to me, I guess. I enjoy that. I enjoy connecting with people. I enjoy helping people. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Well, we had Payway last time. So if anyone's listening, wants to have lunch with Mick, you know, to pour into him, tell him to take him to Payway. He likes Payway.
I love Payway. I can stay on my diet, get their
Yes.
chicken broccoli. It's very good.
It's
Highly
very good.
recommend.
It's not a place that I frequent, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Well, it's never crowded,
Yeah.
which is really nice too.
and you
Yeah.
wonder, it's like, okay, how do they stay in business? You know, Chick-fil-A right next to you. They
I know.
have some more overflow here in Arkansas,
Right.
all our listeners.
Right.
So, well, that's awesome. So you think about that too, relationships. And what I heard from you and I'm hearing loud and clear is that we talk about commission breath. You really are truly coming from a good place, a heart to be able to help people and it's worked out and been a blessing for you. I think that's people listening now too, is just be your authentic self.
Yeah.
That's also what I unwrapped from you, you know, explaining it too, is that you're in relationship with the people you want to be in relationship with, you know, and being your authentic self. And that's helped your business and, you know, life and everything that you're doing too.
Yeah.
What is something, you know, and you learned obviously to work out and meal prep. Is there something else in your life that you're looking to do differently? Back to Tim Ferriss, I think giving him he talked about learning a language, and I never knew this. He said he could do it in like 10 to 14 weeks or something,
Yeah.
or even tighter than that. I was like, we're looking to maybe go to Italy next year, huh? And I was like, how fun would it be if I surprised my whole family? And I secretly learned Italian.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I went to every restaurant, like every
fun?
place, you know, I just kind of ordered, you know, and they just start freaking out.
You could be
Yeah.
bad. No, that's very cool.
They would be like, all right, what app are you on, or what AI? But are you thinking about, you know, other things to learn? You know, no one knows, but future grandparent over the years to come, that's got to feel different, right? You know, just the emotions. Is there something you're looking at learning or aspiring to do?
Yeah.
You know, Jesse Etzler talks about the Masogi or doing the different challenges and things, you know.
I have thought about many different things. I have thought about trying to learn a language. I did take Spanish when I was in college. It actually saved my GPA because it was a 5-hour class, and it kind of boosted my GPA back up in a good place. I was in a bad place, yes. Thank you, University of Texas. But I thought about that. I used to play the piano. I took piano for 6 years when I was a kid, and I've thought about maybe, you know, doing that again. It's a big commitment because it's like anything. You just have to set aside that time to practice. I used to sing a lot. I don't sing like I used to, but I have thought about maybe taking that up again, taking some voice lessons. I've thought about, like, I am the world's worst dancer. I have no rhythm whatsoever when it comes to I can carry a rhythm when I'm singing, but not when I'm like dancing. It's awful. So I've thought about pushing myself. I do like to push myself towards uncomfortable things because I realize that's where growth happens.
For sure. Arthur Murray. That's where Arthur Murray go.
Yes.
Well, I have a great saying I was good, but Cody made me look good all the time. It was like, you know, the man's supposed to be dragging the woman along.
Yes.
I think she was dragging me along, but that was pretty fun. And that's different, you know?
Yeah.
So, last a few minutes, as we're kind of hanging out, anyone new or entrepreneurs, what kind of tips would you give them? Maybe, 10 years ago, what would you have done differently?
That's a great question. Well, I think one thing is I used to get stuck in my own way of thinking and get stuck in my head. And I did suffer from overanalysis paralysis and, worrying about things instead of just failing forward. What can you learn quickly? So I think that's probably one of the biggest things is not getting started was always the hardest part for me. And instead, because I had to have everything figured out before I started it, I don't do that anymore. I just kind of jump in and kind of figure it out.
A little bit messy.
Yeah,
It's fine.
it's messy
Yep.
and it's okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, Nick Bear, he's a fitness influencer that I follow, and he has I think he has a tattoo on his arm. It's embrace the suck.
Mm.
It's like you just embrace the uncomfortable parts of life, and when you don't, oh, I don't want to do this. When something doesn't set well with you, just embrace it and ask yourself what can you learn from that.
Mhm. Eat the
So,
frog first,
Eat
right?
the frog
Yes.
first, 100%.
I know you and Shay have talked about venue,
Yes.
wedding venue. I always think, hey, tell the
Yeah.
people that are in Dubai,
Yeah.
Montana, wherever they're listening today,
Yeah.
what's your guys' dream on there? I always say, you got to tell more people about your
Yeah.
dreams because it comes together. So
Oh,
literally going,
yeah.
I want to retire from our venue. Well, perfect. So listener, you
that.
want to connect some together.
I love that. Well, Shay and I both have a heart for people in the ministry, and we've always kind of wanted to have kind of a venue, multi-purpose venue that we could host weddings, but it could also be just like a retreat for people just to get away and just to enjoy some quiet. We do have a home on the beach down in Galveston, Texas. We're trying to sell it right now. It's probably not a great time to own a beach home with property taxes and insurance, keep going up and up and up. But we have thoroughly enjoyed it, the time that we've had it. We have no regrets by purchasing that. And we've been able to share that with people in the ministry and family members that just needed a respite, just needed a place to get away, because that's what it was for us. And I think that's kind of what we're thinking about with this venue/retreat center, just something that, my wife is very passionate about leading ladies and like Bible study groups and things like that. And I think that's really on her heart, and just having a place for people just to stop and enjoy life a little bit. We don't do that enough as human beings, especially human beings in the United States.
So if anyone's listening and thinking about selling a venue, hit us up.
Hit us up.
We'd love to be able to help you at a high
Yeah.
level. So
100%.
well, this has been awesome. So when
Yeah.
your kids go to listen to the show, which they are, they're going to ask for your autograph and stuff. What kind of advice would you give? You have all different ages. Obviously, you have who's going to start college, and
Yeah.
we talked about too. Yeah, well, actually, we said, hey, where can we share it? We can share right here. What's the
yeah.
GoFundMe?
Yeah. So my daughter, Sawyer, she is about to go on a mission. She's going to go to Hawaii at the end of September, and she's going to study for 3 months. And then for the following 3 months, she's going to travel to small Pacific islands with unreached people groups. They're going to do medical missions, clean water initiatives, and just loving on people and just sharing a light in a very dark world. So she has to raise $10,000 by the end of September. And, that's a big task, but like I always say, we have a big God. So,
For sure.
um,
So if somebody's touched from listening, what's the GoFundMe name, or how do they find it?
So the easiest way to find it is pinned to the top of my Facebook. So I'm on Facebook, Mickey. That's my given name. I usually go by Mick, but Mickey is my given name, Broach. And if you want to friend me on Facebook, you'll see that GoFundMe there. And
That's awesome.
we appreciate any support, whether it's just prayers or monetary support, whatever you can bring.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, so people can find you on Instagram, Facebook, all over. If they want to send referrals from all over the world.
Instagram, it's Mick Broach. Facebook is Mickey Broach. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I thank everyone for joining us. It's so much fun hanging with
you.
a friend for 10 years. And
It's been wonderful.
I want to thank our sponsor, Mutual Omaha Mortgage. Thank you for everything you did for you guys. And thank you for joining The Real Mike Duley.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to The Real Mike Duley podcast. Subscribe, share, stay real. I'm Mike Duley. Until next time.